Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Check. What up, world? It's the man with the plan, Bert McGurk, aka PR, the King of Hearts, and you are now tuned into Clocking Out, the podcast you listen to when you need to get motivated and inspired to doing bigger and better things. What is going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Clocking Out. I am your host, PR, the King of Hearts, and today I'm with a very special guest of mine. Ann, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. It's been a minute that I've been really interested on having you on as a guest speaker. I've been trying to do my research the best that I can on learning more about you. And I figured, you know what, might as well just get you on here and ask you these questions myself so that everybody else in the community or anyone else who falls upon this podcast or any of your content can get to know who Ann is, the person behind the person behind VeeLearnWithFriends. And also a lot of your content that you're coming out with. I like all the different entertaining things that you're doing, the educational content that you're doing, and you're utilizing VeeFriend characters and products into it as well. And you're very, very active in the community. I see that you got bit by the pack ripping bug of getting, these VeeFriends compete and collect cards, as well as getting your hands on some graded cards as well. And you seem to go head to head a lot with another member of the community that goes by Soggy Waffles, who we also had on the podcast as well. So I want to touch on a bit of all those things. But before we do, I want to give you a moment so that you can introduce yourselves to our listeners and viewers and give them a little bit of an idea of who Ann is before we get started. So go ahead, Ann.
So my name is Ann. I was born and raised in Germany and came to the States when I was about 26. Met my husband here and stayed. I used to be a preschool teacher and an administrator at a preschool, and then started creating printables for teachers on the side and built it up enough to quit my job teaching and stay home with my daughter before she started school. That business pretty much runs itself right now. And now I can just follow passion projects like creating stuff around VeeFriends. Joined VeeFriends about 4 months ago, and it's been a wild ride.
And what is it about VeeFriends that attracted you? Like, can you tell us a bit more about your background as far as what initially drew you to the VeeFriends community?
I followed Gary on and off for a while. Once I quit my job, I started working a lot on myself, reading a lot of self-development books, therapy, all these kind of things, and kept kind of coming back to Gary's content and saw the cards pop up at some point and was on one of the streams that Gary did, one of those day streams where he just talks with people, and asked somebody in the chat, like, how do I get the cards? And they have referred me to Fanatics and joined the next day and haven't looked back. I think what draws me to VeeFriends is there's so many things that I'm still working on as a person, as a parent, that these characters are kind of representing. And I think once I also got to know all the community and just what it means to be part of like such a caring and amazing group, it's what really keeps me in the space.
And I know that you mentioned as far as, Fanatics and everything like that and getting cards and, getting into that whole ecosystem. Was that your first entry into anything as far as collecting, or were you into it with other stuff as well? Or can you give us a little bit of background on that?
I've never been a collector. I mean, as a kid, yes, yeah, like you have little things you like here and there, but I've never been a collector of anything else. So that was the first time for me. But you get sucked in really fast.
What was your first initial thing that got you hooked when it came to the VeeFriends like merch or their cards? Like, what was it about it? Is it the design? Is it the specific characters? And then you started going from just looking for one, and then you got addicted to all of them. Is it the competitiveness of looking for that one specific grail of a card that's going to get graded perfectly? Like, what is it about it? Because I know it's me when it comes to collecting stuff. I'm really into collecting cards, but I'm more into like the nostalgic thing of it. Yes, I would love to get like the most expensive card and the cleanest card and everything. But in all honesty, what really gets it for me is that when I was younger, my family couldn't afford that stuff. So I would always envy the kids at school who had it and they would bring it to school and trade. I couldn't be a part of that. I wasn't able to join in on that fun. So I really like I missed out on that as a kid. So now that I have adult money, with adult money, you can buy whatever you want and have fun. So it's like that's my reason behind it. I just like the chase of the hunt, but more of the nostalgic feeling is what I'm looking for. What is it when it comes to trading cards or collecting? What's the thing that you're chasing, or what's the thing that drives you to just keep going pack after pack?
I think the ripping pack that you never know what you're gonna get. It's probably a little bit of the gambling of like you can have the shit pack, or you can have something really good like a 101. And when you pull a couple of those, you want to keep going.
Yeah, no, it's true. It does. It gets really, really addicting, especially when if your first pack is one of those packs where like you actually get a hit, you're like, you know what? You start thinking it's that easy. And then you start learning the hard way that it's not that easy. And there's something else out there and that you got to just keep ripping through all these things. And then you got competition of other people who are the same way and they get the same feeling you do, So it's always a game to play. What's going on, Soggy? Thank you for joining us. Soggy's over here. He's saying that you're not in your normal spot when it comes to streaming today. You're somewhere different.
I know, I'm in the guest room because the guest room has a door.
Yeah, I hear the dogs fighting in the back trying to get in.
He's in now. He's somewhere.
He's somewhere around there. You also mentioned how you're a parent. Could how do you balance being a mom with creating, your content around, VeeFriend stuff or, editing or just having the time to brainstorm what you're going to create or what you're trying to do or be a part of, or being so active in the community? Like, do you have a certain trick or something, or do you feel like it's difficult to balance that, where you're able to balance your time as a mother, as a creator, and then your regular stuff that you're doing with any regular work that you may have?
I mean, right now the balance was easier because Emmy was still in school. So when she's in school, I have the time to create content. Thursday's the last day of school. So I don't know how summer's gonna look like. But there's always times I feel like where she's busy doing other stuff, where hopefully can still get stuff done. So we will see if I drop off for the next couple of weeks. I think it's hard to find like a balance in the whole parenting thing because there's days where she doesn't need a lot of my attention, and then there's other days where she does. You can open the door.
Yeah, go ahead. For everyone who's joining, thank you for joining. Soggy, what's going on? A long story short, thank you for joining us here on Twitch. Really appreciate all the love. And
I don't think
go ahead.
I don't think there's a perfect balance for it. You kind of have to see how the situation is. Like every now and then I think I can jump on a stream and then something happens. Or like she's in a weird mood and then she comes first. And then I just have to say, sorry, can't make it. I think you just have to set your priorities. Like she will always have more priorities over me creating the content.
100%.
So, but a lot of the times I like to work at night or I wake up super early. So right now my husband goes to the gym around 5:30, and that's when I will get up and like do stuff because Emmy usually still sleeps. So I'm trying to find the times where it's just me and I can do my stuff that's important to me without sacrificing the family time. It doesn't always work. Like there's definitely times where I get so sucked into doing something that she maybe watches a show and then all of a sudden look at the clock and it's an hour later. And I was like, shit. I think you got to give yourself grace and be okay with that sometimes you find that balance and other days you don't.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I have two kids myself. They're a little bit older, so it doesn't require me to do as much because they're to the age that they can take care of themselves. My son is 8, my daughter's 12. So like, if they want to get themselves a snack or they got to go to the bathroom or anything like that, like they'll keep themselves entertained. On top of that, with the way technology is, if they're not watching TV or playing a game, they're on their tab or their phone or something like that. So that keeps them entertained for the most part. But at the same time, I always try my best to cut as much time with electronics as possible, even though I know it's something that I can't avoid them from experiencing and putting all their time into for the times that I'm not around and everything. But at the same time, I also want to make sure that they still, take advantage of the things that they could do now that they're young and go outside and play and interact with other kids and, learn through other things. Like, I always not make them, but I always tell them, all right, no tab and no phone and no TV today, go draw for at least an hour or two or go read for at least an hour or two. And I try to do things like that to keep them active. But I know like when they're younger, it's a lot harder when, especially when you're trying to be as active and as present as you are in the space, whether it is in the VeeFriends community or just regularly on social media doing your own stuff. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to try and record the video footage that you need, or put together all the content and edit it, especially if you're still new to it. You have to learn how to use the editing program. You have to, try to figure out what your niche is and how you're going to edit things a certain way. And there's a lot of things that come into play that I'm pretty sure a lot of people either watching or listening can relate to when it comes to trying to create content, as well as being a parent and or being in a relationship whatsoever. You have to make sure you balance that time between your regular life of a 9-to-5 job, and then you have to be there for your spouse and give them attention, and then you got to be there for your kids, and then you also have to have the time for yourself to make sure that you're doing the proper self-evaluating, and you're making sure that you're having the time to rest and sleep and eat and all this stuff. So it's a lot, and I think moms, I have to say, moms have it a lot harder than dads, because I feel like kids are automatically glued to mom over dad. You know what I mean? Like, dad's always there and he's ready to fight the monsters under the bed and stuff. But when it comes to mom, it's like everything is, where's mommy? How's mommy? I want to be with. So that's another thing too that gets pretty hard. With all your content that you're creating, I also see that you are a VeeFriends mini vendor, correct?
Mm-hmm.
With that stuff, I seen that you create like jewelry and things using the VeeFriend minis as well. Like, how did that come into play, and was that just something that you wanted to try, or have you tried doing jewelry in other ways before using any of the VeeFriend mini stuff? Or like, can you give us a little bit of a background on that?
So I became mini vendors after I did the jewelry. And when I say vendor, the machine is still in my office. So I'm not really, so far I'm the only customer. I just saw the minis at some point and was like, okay, we had so many extras. I'm like, what am I going to do with them? Because you try to get a collection full. What am I going to do with all the rest of them? And then it just popped in my head to make jewelry with them. I wasn't like, that's kind of just how my brain works. I see something else, and I put 2 and 2 together. And I just bought a kit on Amazon and put the minis on the little metallic things and posted it, and people went crazy. I haven't sold any of them. Right now, I'm just making them to bring them to VCon to hand out. But I have talked with, what's his name? Scott Johan, who makes the minis. And he jumped on a call with me and said, like, I should maybe sell them on Etsy or something. I've seen other people do similar things with other products they have. So maybe down the line. But for right now, it's really just enjoying all the stuff that VeeFriends comes out with and seeing where I can take it.
I really like that. I like that you're using, regardless of what it is, you're taking your creativity and you're not limiting it to a certain thing, like just doing content or just doing videos or any of that. Like, you're actually going beyond it and trying to create something physically using whatever you have. Like you're saying, you're using all the extra VeeFriend minis that you have, and you're doing something that you just wanted to do, and you didn't think of it in a way of just making money off of it or anything else like that. You just looked at it like it would be a dope thing to try. You gave it a try. It came out looking really good. I like them. I need to get my hands on some because I know my daughter would like to wear some. And it's things like that I see it happening a lot in the community that really draws me to it, because I don't see many other communities doing like what's going on with the VeeFriends community, in the sense that we have so many. I feel like everyone has some type of skill or talent that it's just overwhelming, the amount of talent that we have in the community. There's some people that are willing to share it, some people that are scared to share it, and which is why I'm trying my best to reach out to as many people who are as talented and open to being on here, such as yourself, because I feel like more people need to know about the effort that you're putting in, not just to support the community, but also try to expand it and show people that it doesn't matter if you're a parent, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how experienced you are, if you know what you're doing or not. If you have the time and the energy to put towards learning something new and actually trying to come up with a plan to put it out there, like, anything is possible. And that's what I love about it. Like, you're always really active. You're always talking to people in the chat. You're always talking to people in the DMs. You're always sharing your thoughts and ideas. You're making content that's actually informative, educational. And like, so you're doing all these amazing things. And I feel like you don't get enough credit for what you're doing. And I really just want to say thank you for that, because it actually inspires me to push me even more to put out more content, to reach out to more people, to try to be more active as well, as far as conversating with people. Like, I love it. And a lot of people try to use excuses like as far as they live in a certain place or they don't understand the language or it's too difficult for them. And it's like, I see people like you that really just go above and beyond, that if you don't know something, you learn it and you're taking your time to learn it. And you put in the effort to actually let people know, like, listen, I might be new to this, but I'm trying and I'm going to keep trying until I get it. And you're always willing to help anybody else out as well, which is what I really love about you, that I see with your interaction with everyone in the community. Like, you're not just a very talented person, but you can tell that just like many others in the community, you're very kind-hearted and you have like a very strong light, like what Savvy likes to say. You have a very strong light that you need to share with everybody else. And I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you for being so open to share a little bit about yourself and your life and what you're going through, and just giving hope to other people, because I think that's a big thing.
Thank you.
The next, go ahead.
No, I was like, sorry, my alarm went off. I think it's just, I really enjoy being part of the community because it has given me so much. Like, I don't think I would have made a lot of the videos and the content if I wouldn't have gotten the positive feedback of people just not just accepting who I am, even the crazy parts, but celebrating me for it. And I think that's a huge difference that this community is about. That you can be yourself, you can share your talents, you can share your hard stuff that is happening to you, and people come together and are there for you, write you DMs, check on you, make silly videos with you, and just I think there's just something about it's like finding that village. We all kind of, and it's just you can't really describe it to people. Like, I've been so in it now that it's really hard for me to describe it to my friends. Like, they see me like wearing the merch and stuff. Like, the other day I went one of my best friends and I was like wearing the VeeFriends hoodie and had my VeeFriends mug, and she's like, what is that? And I was like, it's VeeFriends. And then because I constantly wear stuff, she's like, is that your company? It's like, no, it's not. I just have it all the time now with me. It's like, but it's like it's my comfort. Like, I feel comfortable here in that space. Like, there's just so many amazing people that I get to know who just shared so much positive things, but also their hardships with me, that it really gives me the permission to do the same. And I feel like that's something really special about this place.
I agree with you. And that's one thing that I really love about this community, that I think it really makes it stand out, is that a lot of people in the community conversate and interact with each other so much, whether like it's like you said, whether it's in a live stream in a chat, whether it's in a DM, even if it's not in a group DM, people are hitting you up personally if they haven't heard from you in a while, checking how you're doing, what's going on, if you're okay. And it's just crazy. And I always say it, that we get that type of support or that type of love from people that you don't really know that well, or that you haven't gotten to see personally. And it's like you compare it to what you have with the people that you do know, and it's like it's something different. And it goes to make people that are total strangers into friends, and then they slowly start becoming like family. And that's the thing that I love about this community. Everyone is just so willing to be open enough to not judge people based on their appearance or based on how many followers or if they buy something or they don't. Like, everything is just people for who they are, and just showing that we're all human, and just forgetting about all the other bull stuff that really doesn't matter when it comes to just getting to know someone. A lot of things get turned into something different when it comes to online, and people start faking the funk about what they have and where they are in life and how successful they are and so on. And I feel like this was the first space that I came across of people that are genuinely kind and honest and open, and they don't judge. They're not judging you on any decisions that you made or on how you feel or what your point of views are, but everyone just keeps each other balanced in the sense that they're willing to share from one side to another, and they're willing to support each other no matter what it is that they have going on in their lives. They show like, listen, maybe we don't agree on certain things and we don't see eye to eye and we don't have the same point of views, but that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You're still a person. You still deserve to have your voice heard, to have some love, to have some support in whatever it is. And that's what I really love about this community as well, man, especially seeing the way that you interact with everybody, and the way how everyone just, I feel like everyone gravitates to you, whether it's just the way that the kind person that you are, or the funny, entertaining content that you make, or how creative you are. Like, everyone just gravitates to you, and everyone, I even have people here in the chat just popping up. Everyone's just loving you, and they want to say hi and everything. V-Dad is in here. Soggy's shouting you out. Of course, Soggy's like your arch nemesis when it comes to things, I feel like.
I
But
only have a love for Soggy.
I know, right?
We always banter, but yes,
Yeah.
I think he's probably one of my favorite people, and one of the
Soggy's
first ones who like welcomed me and like taught me a lot about the community, and like we chat in the background a couple times about different things or experiences we have or struggles we have. So I appreciate Soggy.
I love you guys for that, man.
Don't tell him.
I know, right? We're gonna have to cut that out of the stream. No one wants to own Soggy. That guy is a mess. Okay.
I should have come on with a beer today.
I know, right? The way he has his beard nice and trimmed and freshened up, right? Already clipped. He already got it done for today. What I wanted to ask you next is, what originally inspired you to create VeeLearn with Friends? Like, what was it that triggered you? You know, many people like V-Dads is in here, and then we have VFam sessions. There's a lot of other projects that incorporate VeeFriends into what they're doing, whether it's the characters or interacting with everybody else in the community, and they all have their own reason behind it. What was your reasoning, your inspiration behind you creating VeeLearn with Friends?
I think just like other people too, I wanted to create something. I didn't just want it to be part of the community. I wanted to create something around VeeFriends instead of just collecting it. And I'm a mom. I'm a former teacher, so like teaching is always something for me that's important. My mom is a teacher, and I think I've always created for kids or around kids in the last couple of years on different ventures I tried, and VeeFriends is just another outlet for that. So I think I'm still trying to figure out where exactly I want to take VeeLearn with Friends. It's partly for kids to teach them all the skills that we want them to know, but it's also for the parents, just because if you as a parent haven't learned those skills, you can't teach them. I always say, like, you can't teach what you haven't learned. So it's going to be a mix of both.
And what is it that makes it an unofficial project? What's stopping you from saying that it's an official thing that you want to do?
I just want to. I think I put the unofficial in because I want to be respectful, because I'm not VeeFriends and it's not an official VeeFriends project. I want people to know, and I also read the disclaimers and everything on the VeeFriends site. I want to be very respectful of the IP and that it's their product, and I'm very conscious about what product pictures I'm using. I'm taking my own pictures of the different products I'm showing on the website and everything to not have any kind of issues. Or like on the website, there is a picture of Gary, but I wrote down like that the picture is from VeeFriends and who's the photographer. So I have a background in graphic and communication design, so I know that all that stuff is important. That's why I do write usually it's unofficial, to not confuse people that this is not from VeeFriends. This is a fan account that I'm using their products to create things and wanting to help push the IP, but it's not made by VeeFriends.
100%. I understand and I agree with you. And it's me. I overthink a lot when I'm trying to make, like, I like to try and make stuff for VeeFriends too. And in all honesty, the reason behind it, the reason that I do it is because if it wasn't for the VeeFriends community, one, I wouldn't be educated in the Web3 space and crypto and all that. That was really like, I knew about crypto and loosely before VeeFriends, but it wasn't until the VeeFriends NFT project dropped and I was in the community, and the amazing people in the community just started educating me and holding my hand basically step through step of, what a wallet was, what the actual value in the sense of the technology behind NFTs were, and the difference between what crypto was and NFTs, and what their involvement in the Web3 space was. Like, all these different things I wouldn't have learned, and I wouldn't have been able to open my mind to the possibilities of what a person can do independently without depending on all this other stuff if it wasn't for VeeFriends. from them educating me in that way, from me learning through experience, from being in the community, what a community really should be, what a brand that creates such a community as VeeFriends should focus on and make sure that they're keeping their eye on, like, all these things. If it wasn't for VeeFriends, I wouldn't have known that. And in all honesty, it helped me in a very dark place when, I felt like really lost and I didn't know what I was doing with myself, or, if I had anything to offer anybody. And the more and more I started creating content and I was doing it just for the sake to do it, I started slowly feeling like I was finding a home. And it's like you say, it's like, find your village, and find your tribe. And I felt like I found that with VeeFriends, and VeeFriends is the only community that I see. It starts off with its own little core thing, but then it starts branching off and it starts making its own little side communities, like the Josh Courage and his community, the To the Moon community, VFam sessions. Brofit has his own thing going on. VDads has a community going on. Like, all these things are slowly building up and they all branched off from the core community of VeeFriends. But it's like, it doesn't matter whether you own an NFT or you bought any of the products or the cards or anything like that. It's just being in that space with these amazing people and interacting with them and conversating with them and just showing up for them to show them love and support or give them feedback or hear them out, whatever it is. All these things got me to the point that I really wanted to help spread the word of it. I felt like from having the opportunity to meet these amazing people that came together just from a few cartoons that some guy drew, I felt like it was my responsibility to help spread the word and let someone else who would need that, the same thing that I got from them, whether it was the amazing people I talked to or the dope things that I was collecting or whatever, or the fun, information and education I was getting from it. I felt like I owed that to pass it on and pay it forward basically to the next person, because as much as it, like I say it a lot in a lot of things, I feel like a lot of people who have been through a lot of stuff gravitate to this community. All of us have been through something emotionally, physically, like all of us have some type of experience. And I feel like that's what really gets us really closer and closer together. The more and more we interact with each other, whether it's a DM, a conversation, or through these live streams and things, we all tend to get a little bit more familiar with each other and we notice things and we pick up on things. What I wanted to ask you, moving forward with the V Learning with Friends, you focus on kindness, compassion, and accountability. Why did you choose these specific values when it came to you creating this passion project of yours?
I read somewhere that, there's so many traits I can put into that. It's just, that's what I feel like VeeFriends is for me. Like, you have compassion for each other and for the people around you, but you also have to be accountable. I read somewhere a good therapist, and I feel like the same counts for a good friend, is a good mix between empathy and accountability. Like, you tell people, like, yes, I'm here for you and you're going through a hard time, but you're also pulling them out of where they are, and don't just feed into like their insecurities and all that kind of stuff. At some point you have to, as a good friend, also say, I hear you and I know all these things happen to you and they suck, but what are we going to do about it? So, and I feel like you have to have a good mix. And I feel like that's what Gary does too. He has a lot of compassion for people, but he's also very brutally honest about, like, it's up to you at the end of the day. Like, you have all the choice. It doesn't matter what happened to you in childhood or adulthood or whatever. It doesn't matter what the weather is today. Like, you have a choice every single day. There's a really good book, Man's Search for Meaning, by Viktor Frankl, and he talks about that. He was in Auschwitz and survived, and he wrote about how he saw in the concentration camp how you can either way get yourself through that by having the mindset of, I can only control what's in my control, and I can't, whatever they want to do with me, they can. There's nothing I can do about, but I'm the one who responds to it, and what I respond to it is my choice and nobody else's. And I think that is something that I really had to learn the last couple of years, and I feel like that's what VeeFriends is about too, that you have a choice. If somebody cuts you off in traffic, you have a choice how you respond to it. If you're going to be kind towards them and see that they probably just need some compassion, or if you want to be flipping them off. it's your choice. It's not them making you flip them off. It's you choosing to. It's like the whole circle of control kind of thing.
I agree with you. I'm not gonna lie, I struggle with that. And you mentioned someone cutting you off and or you reacting in it in a way where you're thinking about what's making that person do it or why it's triggering you. And I get like that sometimes, and I overthink that, like, my past. It's hard to get rid of my past, and I was always like this little street kid, and I come from an area where you have to always prove yourself, especially as a guy. And anytime that you don't do something or react to someone, sorry, in a certain way, you're looked at as weak or like a punk or whatever it is. And growing up with that mentality and being an adult now with 2 kids, I still find myself from time to time, when the opportunity presents itself, sometimes it's not so easy for me to make the good choice. Sometimes I have that fight with myself where old habits try to kick in, and it's not until I'll be in the middle of doing something that I look at my kids and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not a little kid no more. I gotta, like, stop this and take a second and really think about the consequences of what's gonna happen. And it's just things like that that I see. It takes some time. We're all still learning. You know what I mean? We're all still growing. We're all still learning. And it's not until, someone can tell us a million times, the experience that they had of something, and give us advice, or don't do this, don't do that. But at the end of the day, I feel no matter how old we get, we're not going to learn until it actually happens and we have that firsthand experience, until we embarrass ourselves, until we try and we fail, until, something comes along that we don't know is going to happen, and we're forced to pivot, and we're forced to change or adapt or whatever it is. So, I agree with you in that, in the sense that, all these things, when it comes to, like, the VeeFriends community and the traits, and how everything that Gary's talking about puts people in a position to think about how they need to learn, how they need to adapt, and how they need to grow. So that's why, when it comes to the things that you mentioned, and you chose all these traits, I wanted to ask you specifically, because in VeeFriends there's so many different characters and so many different traits, and it's like you're saying, like, you could put a whole bunch of them, but I saw that you specifically had those. And that's why I wanted to see what your take was on it.
I think it's also that's the 3 that are most important for me personally. Like, I see accountability as something super important, especially in the last couple of years, doing a lot of work on myself. I had to take a lot of accountability. Like, I was definitely the person who, like, thought it's other people's fault, like how I'm feeling, or that I'm not there where I'm supposed to be, and just had to really take a hard look at, it was me holding myself back, and that was a huge step for me, and, like, gave me a lot of power to just take my own life into my hand and make the changes that I needed to make. I had a lot of excuses of not reaching what I wanted to reach, and there's still some, but I felt like through that I also learned to have a lot of compassion for others, but also for myself. To just, I think once you get to a certain age, you have kids, you kind of evaluate how you got here, who you are, and you see your kids mirroring yourself a lot. Like, Emmy is so much like me, and that helped me to see my positive sides, but it also showed me all the shortcomings I have, and that really helped me to see there's things I really need to work on. That I can't just tell her to be a certain way. I have to show her on a daily basis. And for that, I had to really grow a lot. And I feel like when you have kids, you really grow up. I'm not saying you can't grow up, like, if you don't have kids. I just feel like it speeds it up, because you have this little mirror in front of you and you want to teach them so many things, and you're realizing, I don't know how to teach you because I don't know how to do these things because I haven't learned them yet. And it really makes you fast forward to, like, I need to work, and it has to be faster because they're only going to be in my house for so long. So there's no more excuses you have before that. And I think she really helped me become a better person, the person I am now. But the kindness is also, I love being kind to others, but I also had to learn to be kind to myself. I think it's still a struggle sometimes, that it's so easy for me to be kind to everybody around me, and not taking time for myself, not taking the compliment or not seeing the positive parts. And I think a lot of us are struggling with that.
I agree with you. I feel like that's I guess something that then again it's not only just with creatives and artists, but I feel like when it comes to creative people such as ourselves who always have ideas or thoughts and things that we want to do that we feel will help us in a productive way, I think that we're always very hard on ourselves. We don't take the time to actually acknowledge the progress that we've made or
Mhm.
the achievements that we've made. I feel like we're all extremely hard on ourselves, despite how successful we can be. Like when it comes to the percentage of how many times we failed to how many times we've tried and we actually learned something new and got like a step further in our process, our journey of getting closer to what it is that we want to be or what it is we want to accomplish. I feel like all of us, I think it's a big thing with a lot of people who are creatives and artists or entrepreneurs. We were very, very hard on ourselves, no matter what the analytics say, no matter what the profit might be, or how much further we moved from the line that we drew yesterday. I feel like we all tend to just beat ourselves up a little more than we have to. And I feel like it's a benefit when it comes to having a community such as the one that we're a part of, or even if we have just one person that's as good as the amazing people that are in the community, cheering us on and telling us, you did a
Mhm.
good job and you're doing good and keep going. If not, it gets really hard. It's hard for us to notice that we haven't given ourselves the credit that we deserve, and unless someone says it to us, we beat ourselves up and then we really don't get the recognition, and we just put ourselves in this box, and it just gets hard, and it sucks. But I'm trying to, I myself, I still struggle with it. I know a lot of people in the chat or a lot of people who create any type of content or interact or anything like that with anybody on a daily basis. It's hard for anybody nowadays to really take the time to really be like, you know what, you did a good job and you're doing good and you're overthinking. We just need those
Mhm.
people sometimes to tell us, yo, shut up, you're overthinking, relax, it's not that serious, just keep going, you're doing great. And I want to be one person, like I've mentioned before. You're doing amazing. I love the stuff that you're doing. I love the way that you present yourself in all these communities and all these live streams. You're a very energetic person. You're very talented. You're very creative. You're very knowledgeable in a lot of things. And it's things that you can tell it wasn't something that just happened overnight. It's things that you can tell you took the time to learn. You did your 50 plus hours of researching into certain things, and you went through the steps of not knowing to slowly getting good at it to now you could do it like it's nothing. Like, you see the growth in what you're doing, which is what I'm a fan of. I love seeing that. I love that people are willing, such as yourself, that are willing to show the process. Even if it's not perfect, you're willing to show how you started. You're willing to show how you started from zero and you worked your way up. And I think seeing things like that and being vulnerable like that gives other people the opportunity to do the same, because they look at it like, if this person's doing it, why can't I do it? And that's why, I respect you for everything that you're doing. We need more people such as yourself. We need to let more people know about Anne and what she has going on. And like
And
Saudi was mentioning earlier, all your freestyle battles and stuff, we got to get them ready for the mixtape that's coming out soon. So we got to get that going too.
and the funny thing is, as much as I do it for others, I selfishly do it for myself. I think there's so many things, like I know who I am inside, but I'm not really showing that a lot of the time, at least not in real life. And I feel like here I found a way to show what's going on in there. Um, and I'm allowed to do that. And it's not about the likes or the comments, it's for me to rewrite my story. At some point in my life, the story was put into my head that shit,
It's okay.
that's not how you're supposed to be. It's too much. Like, don't take up too much space. And I think just creating all this stuff, getting out of my comfort zone, that I'm not just staying in this one lane that's acceptable. Like I have all this other stuff that's part of me. Just allowing myself to show that is I'm doing it for myself to rewrite the story in my head that it's okay to show all of me. Like there's nothing bad about the crazy side who does a rap video. There's nothing bad about the person who cries in her car. There's nothing bad about the person who tries something and fails or makes laughs about herself. It's all of me. All of that is part of me. There's a ginormous spectrum, and for the longest time I thought I can only show this much. Like it's like the vanilla ice cream thing, like just be vanilla.
Exactly.
Don't buy the other stuff. And now I feel like that's what I love the most about VeeFriends, that I started showing a little bit more of myself. And like I said, I wasn't just accepted for it, I was celebrated for it. And again, it's not about the likes, it's about it helped me rewrite the story that it's okay to show more and more and more of yourself. And then there's days where I go back here because old beliefs come creeping in, and then you try again and you expand a little bit more. And I feel like if my content helps other people go out of that lane too and expand, then I'm the happiest person in the world. Like I always say, like I want to leave this world better than I found it. And if I just made one person laugh with a video or made them think about something with a sentence I wrote, made them feel better about themselves or made them believe like they can do something that they thought they couldn't, I feel like that's all I want. That I can leave this world knowing I made it better. Like that's I feel like I think we all want to leave a legacy in some sort, and my biggest legacy will be Emmy and teaching her all those skills along the way. But I think also part of me wanting to create all these things is if I leave this world tomorrow, there's all these things she can look back on, like that show her who her mom was, like the crazy silly side who would just sing in front of people, and the one who shared the vulnerable things. And I need her to see all of that. I think it's documenting, it's almost documenting my own journey of coming from here, going here, and for me myself to look back on at some point and see how far I've come. And I appreciate that you're all along on the right, but it's really, at the end of the day, it's selfishly for me.
I love that. I love that you said that, because I honestly, when I first started this, it was like a selfish thing, and I first thought of it like I have to come out with like the best video, and I have to act like this and look like this and all this stuff. And it wasn't until the more and more that I did it and the more comfortable I got, not only speaking my truth with everyone, whether it was in private DMs or publicly in chat, it started getting easier for me to come up with the balls, because I don't know how else to say it, of recording myself and being vulnerable. It's like Soggy says in the chat, vulnerability shows strength and growth. And I agree.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's takes more. I believe it takes a lot more for a person to show that true side of themselves than it is to put on an act and to keep up an act, because an act is easy. You know yourself that you're acting and you're doing it all to put up a front or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, in all honesty, everyone knows for a fact that the reason they do that is because they're scared. They're scared to show people who they really are and get rejected or to get judged. And
Mm-hmm.
I completely understand and relate to what you're saying, because like I mentioned, I grew up in my area. No one knows that I do this. There's not that many people personally that know I do podcasting or make videos or any of this stuff. Like, and it's not about being embarrassed. It's just about, it's like what you mentioned before. You always have VeeFriend stuff on, and you're so immersed into this community and this whole ecosystem of stuff that it's like second nature. You really don't think about it. You just put on a shirt. It's not today I'm going to wear this VeeFriend shirt because it's the logo and it's just you're just wearing it. It's just another shirt to you, but it has a meaning to it, and there's a story behind when you got like it. That's something towards you, and it's not as easy to explain that to someone who's not part of this world, because they're not going to get it. There's something deeper to it for you. There's a bigger meaning behind it for you, why you're so you love collecting the stuff, you like the merch, and you're such a fan of so many people in the community. It's something more than just a shirt to you. It's something more than just little cartoons. It's something more than just being a fan of Gary Vee. It's like I see that it's a lot deeper, and because of that, it's the same thing that I feel like with what I'm doing. There's a lot of things that when I first did it, it was strictly just because I was like, I don't know how to do anything else. I just want people's attention and let me. But then the more and more I did it, I started finding I was interested in this and interested in that, and I started getting scared about speaking my truth and sharing my story and being open to the days that I had a bad day, saying I had a bad day, or whether it
Mhm.
was streaming it and having no one watch it at all, or making a video and sharing it later. I always felt like I had a responsibility to do it because of the fact that there were days that I would be stressed out, I would be depressed, whether I was crying or not talking to no one or in my own thoughts. I'd literally be alone and I'd beg, like I'd literally beg for anybody that could understand or relate what I was going through. And I always felt alone. And I always feel like if I can, it's just like you're saying, if I can make a video, if I can do content, if I can express and show what I'm going through and let even just one person know that they're not alone and that there's other people that can relate and that they understand, even if it's not someone that we don't know, like it's like you mentioned, we're not going to be here forever. And I have kids too. And as a parent, I know many parents, that's the first thing that they think about is like, especially when you have little kids, when you have kids, they make you notice time. Time goes by like this. Like you think, oh, you have all the time in the world, but then you see these little babies grow up from not being able to walk or talk to running around to then breaking stuff or grabbing anything and eating whatever they want and then telling you what they like and don't like. And it just gives you a slap in the face of reality. Like, listen, time is moving, whether you want to realize it or not. And you start thinking about what you've taught them, the memories you have with them, if they know right from wrong, if you taught them enough stuff, if you got them to know who you are as a person. It's like you say, like you want to show all those sides of you, not only to let another person know, but to also let your own kids, like, yo, if you have these feelings to do this and express yourself and this is who you are, don't hide it. Show them your good side, your bad side, the days that you're upset, the days that you're stressed, the days that you're angry. You don't have to show it to the whole world and put it on video or anything, but don't hide it. You don't have to be
Mhm.
ashamed of that. You don't have to hide that. That's everyone goes through that. It's normal. It's life. So I respect you for that, for not only saying it, but for taking that step of being open enough to share that with people through your content, through your posts, whether having a conversation such as the one that you're having with me right now. Like, it's not easy. It's not, whether it's being recorded, whether it doesn't matter what it is, just being open with anyone on any level whatsoever, especially nowadays. It's not easy. When you overthink about judgment or not being accepted, and like it's hard. It's hard. So I completely agree with you. It's not something easy to do, but it is refreshing. It is a relief when you find, whether it's one person or a group of people or your own place, that you can do it without a second thought. And you're just
Mhm.
you're just being you, and you don't have to overthink about what you're saying or how you're going to act or what, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, all of us like to think we're on everybody's minds, and at the end of the day, no one gives a shit. We're all going through our own shit. We're all
Mhm.
going through something in some way. That's what I learned the hard way. Like, I used to overthink and be like, what if this person looks at it and they think it's corny or they think it's this and that? And then the more and more I think about it, I was like, yo, who gives a shit? Like, why am I stressing about this person that lives all the
Mhm.
way in West Bumblefuck? You know what I mean? When I got my own stuff, like it's just, you should never sacrifice your comfortability or your happiness for someone else's comfortability and happiness. There's
Mhm.
no reason for that. So I agree with you on that, and the stuff that you share, with the content that you're making. And do you feel like there's anything else that might be either holding you back or that you're stopping yourself from doing, that's not just creating content, but maybe, like, when it comes to being a parent, do you feel like there's a side that you haven't shown of yourself, whether it's to your kids or to other people, that you overthink about, or just a side of you in general, not even as a content creator or a person in the community, like a side of you, and as a regular person, as a regular day-to-day mother, as a female, as just a person living on earth. Is there anything that you feel like in the past or now that you've held back due to overthinking because of other people that you regret or that you're trying to change and work on?
Yeah, definitely all the time. I think recently it was the switch. So far, all my content has always been on X, Twitter, because I didn't have X until I joined VeeFriends. And they kept saying, like, tweet it out. And I was like, I don't have Twitter. So I joined Twitter just for VeeFriends, and that's all I do there. The only friends I have on Twitter are the VeeFriends. So my whole other friend group are on other platforms. So I think this week or last week, I finally made the bridge and started posting some of my VeeFriend stuff on Instagram and other platforms. And it was like, that was a real weird step for me, just because none of these people know about that stuff. And I'm so far in it that it's going to be really weird for them to understand what the fuck is she doing right now? Like, what is going on here? So I think I made like a post of like, hey, I joined VeeFriends. This is what it is. Like, you're going to see more about it now. Deal with it kind of thing. But I also felt like I'm hiding part of myself if I can't share it everywhere. And VeeFriends isn't just a hobby anymore. Like, it became a lifestyle for me. Like, I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. So I felt like I needed to bridge that gap between my real life, all my friends here, and my online community. And just, yeah, I didn't want it to be like the gatekeeper. It's like, it's all mine. I'm not going to share what VeeFriends is. I felt like I want to share what it is. I want to bring other people in, but to do that, I need to share it with the people on other platforms too. And that was kind of a weird thing, just to see what kind of reactions do I get from other people. But like you said, like, we overthink things. Like, people, they'll watch a video and then scroll past it. Like, nobody's like so invested in you. Like, maybe your family will reach out and be like, what's going on there, you know? But everybody else, like, they might care about you, but at the end of the day, they all have their stuff to deal with.
Exactly.
But I think there's always things that you can work on, and you hold yourself back a little bit. For me, it's still, the content creation is still a thing. Like, I have no problem making a video of myself and then editing it and putting it out. On a podcast is already the next step where I'm like, okay, it's live. Like, there's nothing. But I can't take videos when other people are around. Like, when I do my content, it's when I'm alone at home. Like, I will either way do, like, not even my husband can be around. Like, that's how crazy I am. Like, Emmy can be in a different room. I'm okay with that. But like, when my husband goes to the gym in the morning, that's when I film, or when he goes to the office. But like other people just walk around, just like film themselves. Can't do it.
Yeah,
I feel so weird about it. Like, which is so stupid, because I feel like I'm depriving myself of just creating even more content because I'm overthinking things. Like, it's not that I have constantly ideas in my head and I would like to share them, but now I'm like, okay, where do I find a space where I'm by myself to create this content? It's just, I don't know what it is. Like, I can make a video and put it out there, and I don't care if a million people see it. But live in person, I'm a completely different person. And that's what I'm worried about going to VCon. That I can be like one person when it comes to a screen, but you put a real person in front of me, and I was like, so the weather, huh? I have nothing to say. Like, unless you tell me, like, right now, I love this because you're asking me questions and I can just answer. But if you put me in front and somebody like just,
trust me, I guarantee you that's not going to be the case. Just so you have an idea, okay? I only tell a few people this. There was like a process of me doing all this, and there's a reason behind everything. A lot of people, I've run into some people that think that I use podcasting as just the thing for me to use people to make content, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, which there's a reason why I do the content the way I do it. Like, if you see clips I make of other people, I try my best not to put myself in the clip. When it comes to the podcast, I try to make the focus on the clock and that whole logo. I try not to make it the focus of me as the mascot. So I want it to exist without anyone knowing who PR is. Like, but there's a reason behind everything, and all of it stemmed from overthinking. When I first joined VeeFriends, I was very paranoid about getting involved because a lot of it had to do with Discord and DMing and all this stuff. I used to do rap music. I don't have a problem going on stage and rapping, and because when you're on stage and the light hits you, you don't notice anyone. You just hear a crowd. So you don't see faces, you don't see. So I fell in love with going on stage. The reason I fell in love with making music is a lot of people don't know. Growing up, I was dyslexic and illiterate. I couldn't read, I couldn't spell. It was horrible. And but the thing is, I fell in love with telling stories. I love telling stories, and I love like stuff like the Cat in the Hat, the stuff that like rhymed and everything. So I combined telling stories with making songs. But the thing was is that when I would write it down and show it to someone, they'd make fun of me because the grammar was horrible. I couldn't spell anything. My handwriting was horrible, like everything, like it was just bad. But I was able to memorize it in my head. So I just kept memorizing stuff in my head. Then it came to interacting with people. Like I couldn't talk to girls. Back in the day, everything was like sidekicks and BBM and all. I couldn't spell. I couldn't flirt with girls. I had to talk to people one-on-one. And in talking to people one-on-one, I sucked. So when I first got into VeeFriends, I did the excuse of going on Twitter. I made a Twitter. I had a Twitter for a while, but then I got rid of my old one and I started a new one from scratch. And I started purposely making a fool of myself, hitting people up, misspelling stuff, blaming it on autocorrect and all that. But I learned little by little. I started learning. Then I wanted to have conversations with people. I started sucking having conversations with people because I didn't interact with people like that. Like I just interacted with my small group of friends, but I forced myself to do it. Then it was like you. I knew I wanted to make content. Everything Gary's putting out, make content, make 135,000 pieces of content a day, record it and put it out and and I'm like, I can't do that. I had the same issue as you. The only way I would record or anything is if no one was around. But I kept thinking the same thing. I'm limiting myself and I'm stopping myself from being really creative because I'm overthinking about other people. So what I did, I started vlogging. I went and got the biggest, chunkiest camera that I could find with the biggest microphone, that wherever you see me in like this big gorilla pod, that whenever someone saw me, there was no way in hell you couldn't be like, look at this guy with the camera. And I'm pretty small. I'm like 5'7". So me walking around with this big camera, talking to myself, like I did it all on purpose because I knew the more that I did it, the more easier it would be for me to find ways to just tune everybody out and get better at it. Then I started overthinking, like people are watching me. I don't know what I'm talking about. If people see me with a camera, they're gonna be like, who the hell is this guy to think anyone cares about what he has to say, what's going on in his life for him to record it and all. Like, so all these things would always run through my head. But then the more and more I did it, the more and more I got better at ignoring everybody. Then it got to the point that I was like, I suck at editing. I suck at streaming and like all this. So I started doing a podcast. I was like, if I do a podcast and I record, at first it was just myself every day. There's no way that I'm not going to get better at what I'm saying or how it sounds. And then if I record the video and I edit it, there's no way that if I do it every day, I'm not going to get better at clipping the videos and doing this. And so I forced myself to start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And you always hear that, but it's like you really don't know. And like you always know what you have to do. And you know that there's things that you could do to break out of that, but you don't do it because of the fear thing. And then once you do it, you realize this is not that serious. It's not that big of a deal. If you don't notice everybody else is doing it, you just notice that nobody really cares. Like they'll look at you and they'll say, but then you think about it like, okay, this person said something, they walked away, and now they're not here no more. When before it used to be like, this person that said something, I don't know who they are. Now I got to go find them and where they live because I want to know what they're thinking about. And what's like, it'll keep you up at night. You'll be sitting there like, oh my God, this person was watching me while I was recording and I look like an idiot and I don't even know what I was talking about and blah, 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 blah. And then a couple of days go by and then you totally forget about it. Like it's things like that, that after the more and more that you do it, it starts becoming like, it's second nature, but at the same time, you start getting more comfortable in the sense that you're like, it's not why did I stop myself from making a funny video or doing something that I would have enjoyed doing or that would have made my day better or that would have, just because of some random person, or even if it's someone that you know, like then you find out later you mention this idea to your husband or your kids and they're like, when did you do this? Oh, I did it when you're not home. Why you record this when I'm not home? And like that's what happened with my kids. I would only record when my kids weren't around. They found out that I do little YouTube videos and stuff. I want to be in a video. I didn't know you did this. Why didn't you tell us? I want to watch your stuff. I want to listen. and we get a reaction that we weren't expecting. Like, you would think people would be like, oh really, that's what you do? Yeah, that you're one of those people, like you create stuff and you're always, how many people to go on, dude? No one watches your stream, or no one. It's like, I don't care, I just do it because I like to.
Mhm.
Like, but it's things like that that I feel like we just got to get more used to. We got to just stop. We got to just ignore that sound. It's hard. It's really hard. It's not easy to be like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. So I understand where you're coming from, but it's a good sign, because that's, you're going through the stages. You went from overthinking if you should post something and should be honest, to like the video that you shared the other day, which I really, really, truly loved. And you were really honest, and you showed yourself going through these things and going through the emotions and the steps. But at the end of the day, you went through it. You did it. You got through the other end of it. You made that video. You posted it up. Someone saw it. That side of you that you were scared of showing, it's like you said, you showed it to people and everyone was so accepting of it. And not only that, they applauded you for it and respected you for it, and it's because it's not easy. It's not easy. I guarantee you, everyone who saw that wished that they were able to do the same thing. And they are, but they just come up with their own excuses and their own reasons to hold themselves back. It's like you mentioned, we're only holding ourselves back. It's nothing else. There's nothing else that someone said or did or whatever that should trigger us that bad that it stops us or forces us to do something that we don't want to do, And at the end of the day, as much as you may struggle with it, you have to give yourself the credit for taking the time to find a way to still do it. You're, instead of you saying, oh, my husband's here, I can't do it, I'm not, you wait and he goes to the gym, and even if it's for a couple minutes or an hour, whatever, you take the time to take your camera out, your phone or whatever, and you do what you got to do and you make it happen. And that's a big thing. That's not something, there's a lot of people that have a whole day doing absolutely nothing, and they'll come up with every excuse in the book to not even turn on record, but yet they want to go around telling people they're a content creator or they're an entrepreneur or they're an artist or they're this, but they don't even take that first step to actually even try and create something in any way. So you got to always make sure that you remind yourself of that, because I love what you're doing. I love the little songs that you do. I love the content videos that you make. I'm not gonna lie, it's even me, and I feel like I'm always online, and I'm like, damn, I don't even know how to do a video like that. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, so it's all these things that at the end of the day, we always end up comparing ourselves to other people, and we shouldn't. We shouldn't look at it like competition. We should look at it like, Anne did this, I should be able to do it. If not, I want to reach out to her and learn from her so she can teach me something that I don't know. That's the way everything should be, when it comes to not only this community, but everything in general. I think when we're all trying to create or just trying, all of us are just trying. So I think that that's something that we all got to acknowledge,
I think the biggest part is too, especially when it comes to content creation, is this is a passion project for me. I'm not trying to make money with this. So I can fully go in and do whatever I want. There's nobody telling me I can or cannot do that. Of course, I always want to be in the realm of like, I want to be respectful to VeeFriends and the people in the community, and like I want to be represented in a good way. But like, because I'm not trying to make money with it, I have so much freedom with that. Like, I feel like if you go into a new project or do something or try something new out, and you go in and like, how can I make money with it? And I definitely did that in the past with other projects. It holds you back because you are so limited in thinking like, how is this going to make me money and how I'm going to be successful with this? And I'm just sharing my love and passion for it. And I think that allows me to do way more in a short amount of time because I'm not overthinking it. The only outcome is to share my love for it, my skills, make people laugh, make people think, and yeah, it just gives me more freedom than I think other people allow themselves to have.
No, I love that. I love that you're not keeping it restricted to one specific thing, that you're not focused on just the profit portion of thing. Like, I'm pretty sure all of us, anyone who's a content creator, anyone in the community would love to get paid just to make content. Like, I think that's, of course, the dream job. To just be yourself, record yourself, put it out there, talk about what you're interested in and what you have a passion for, and get paid for it. That, of course, would be like an ultimate job I'm pretty sure no one would turn down. But at the end of the day, it goes to show, like I mentioned, in your efforts and your progress and everything that you're doing, it shows that it's more than just you doing it for a specific reason, whether it's likes or followings or subscriptions or whatever it is. It shows that you, from the way that you're presenting yourself and you interact with everyone and the way you speak about everything that you're interested in, it goes a step beyond just like, okay, I know what this is, let's talk about it. Like you're actually like, yeah, did you hear this? And I heard about this and I read that. And I like, you actually care about it enough that you're putting in your own time. Like you mentioned, like it's an obsession type of thing now. So it's not just a little like side hobby that you're like brushing off. Like, yo, you got the clothes, you got the merch, you got all the cards, and you're arguing with Soggy over bids and stuff like that. Every bid that Soggy sees, he automatically believes it's you going against him. Like, that's how crazy it is. Like, it's things like that. That it's just, and then what's crazy too is that he'll say it and everyone else looks at it like, you know what, it probably is Ann, because the way that Ann is. So it's things like that that it's just, it's great to see, because it's deeper than you just being a fan of it. Like you actually care. You care enough to overthink in a good way about, I don't want to damage or say anything that'll ruin the brand or the perception or the view. Like, that's how much you care about it, that you've done that much research to go that far to make sure that even the slightest picture or the wording on your website is done in the right way, because you respect it and care about it that much. Not just the brand, not just about the people who created it, but the actual characters and what they mean, and what, you don't want someone to stumble upon it and get the wrong impression of it. And that's how much you care about it. Like that it's a lot of things like that that people pay attention to, that you notice when you're active in a community like that. Like just the same way that Soggy has been a very big name in the community also too, from how active he is, not just from how supportive he is and all the stuff that he buys and how competitive he is with it, but it's just, it's like you say, it's like a friendly banter type of thing. But it's that thing that shows a real side of him. You know what I mean? Like that's really him. It's not like a gimmick or an act that he's doing just to boost up sales for an auction that's going on, or for VeeFriends merch that they're about to drop. Like he actually cares about it. He's actually competing. It's a friendly competition, but he actually wants to buy that and outbid you. Like he needs it. It's like, so it's things like that that you can't fake that, and you can see it. You can see the passion when people speak about things, when people get upset about things that are going on. It's not because they just want to be mad and angry. It's because they care about something so much that when they see someone else doing it so carelessly, it bothers them. It bothers them to hear someone bad talk a community or a brand that they're a big fan of, that they know it's deeper than just making a profit. So when it comes to you, yeah, go ahead.
And I think what's similar for me and Soggy, and I feel like for a lot of people, is that this community and this project has given us so much personally that we want to give back in any way we can. If it is boosting the sales or bringing more people in or talking about it or showing it in a lighthearted way and not just like buy the stuff, it's our way to say thank you and to make it grow, because we know there's more people out there like us who need this, who need VeeFriends, the project, the people in it, the community. And I feel like because we've gotten so much from it, like it has changed my life, like nothing short of it. Like I've become such a different person in such a short amount of time. I've made so many wonderful connections, had so many wonderful opportunities. Doors have opened for me because of it that would have never happened before. And that's something I will always be grateful for. So for like creating content around it, even though it doesn't serve my personal it serves me too, because I'm growing with it. Like I'm learning skills and like getting out and just being myself. But it's my way of saying thank you for giving me this, for creating this community, this IP, and helping me be myself and having a space where I'm allowed to be myself. And I feel like there's so many others who feel just the same.
Yes, I agree with you. I'm one of the people that's right there with you, and that's what I love about this space, and I love about people like you, that not only do you see that, but you're willing to do your part to show that, whether it's what you're doing, whether it's what you're saying. But I agree. I totally agree with you. I feel like all of us in some way, shape, or form feel indebted, if not to the VeeFriends community, to Gary V, to everything that he's done Because in all honesty, if it wasn't for him going out his way to make these characters and to create VeeFriends, and we wouldn't, a lot of us wouldn't know each other. A lot of us wouldn't be, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you. I wouldn't have met the people that I've met, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for it because I've said this before. The conversations I have with the people on this podcast are literally my only interaction with people. Like, as far as like that, yes, I see my family, but when I go to work, I don't talk to my coworkers. Like, I'm always like that. I keep to myself. When I go out in public, or I don't go hang out with friends and stuff, like, I still have my friends, but it's like, it's life is life. We all grow apart and everything. I have one friend, one close friend of mine that I see every once in a blue. And before, he used to be consistently, but now he started his own family. He
Mhm.
recently just had a baby. He's on his way to baby number 2. So it's like, you go I've been through that phase already, and I know that there's steps when it comes to being a new parent, and as well as expecting a newborn, and going through that whole thing of focusing on what you have to do to make sure your family's good, and that you're there with them, and that you're spending time with your child, and you're learning how to, it's like you mentioned, everything that we're trying to teach our kids, we're also in the same process learning and experiencing things for the first time as a parent. So it's like, it's things that no matter how many times we've been around our parents and we've seen other people raise kids and be parents, it's different having the firsthand experience. And it's like, we don't really learn that until we have it and it happens to us. But there's a process to all of that. And it's because of communities such as this that I'm able to see that and learn that I'm not alone. It
Mhm.
wasn't easy raising my daughter and not really having a clue of what to do. It wasn't easy not being with their mom no more and being split up and going through the whole co-parenting stuff and all those things. It was rough, but there were a lot of people in this community who have already experienced that, who
Mhm.
went through their ups and downs, and who were able to share through their experience, like, listen, this helped me, and listen, there's going to be a time this comes into your mind, or that you're going to think and feel this, but don't let that get to you. Everyone goes through that. You're not alone. Just so all those things, and having those conversations and having that experience, like, if it wasn't for this community and the people being as open and as just willing to listen or willing to just provide information, I think a lot of us would feel lost. And
Mhm.
it's like you're saying, like, we all want to do our part, not only to give back but also to spread the word. Like, listen, like I mentioned before, we're not alone. You're not alone. There's so many of us in this community that relate to each other in some way, shape, or form, man. Like, all of us have been through something, and we're all just, it's all bringing us together. The fact that we're giving each other the opportunity to say, listen, it's okay, like, just talk about it, say it, express your feelings, be you. You don't have to hide it. It's a big deal. For me, being like this little street kid that always felt like I had to be Mr. Bad Guy and all tough and stuff, it feels good to talk about my feelings and to talk about it with
Mhm.
other people and for them to share. Like, it really felt good for me to see the video that you shared and you expressing yourself, because I'm like, damn, like, I have that time. I have those moments where I'll be in the middle of making something and I feel embarrassed. There'll be nobody around. It's just me. But just the thought of what I'm doing and setting up a camera and about to say certain things, to record it, to put it out there to a bunch of people I don't know, or people, a lot of people I do know, also a mix of everything, it gets in your head and you start stopping yourself. But you also got to remember, there was something in you telling you to do that video. There's something in you
Mhm.
telling you to take that step, to speak those words, to create that art, whatever it is. Like, I'm a strong believer in that. And a lot of us don't trust our gut and trust our heart. We're scared. And that's all it really is. We're scared. Do we get these feelings to react and to just go with our instinct? But then we come up with excuses and the fear kicks in and we start
Mhm.
overthinking of, oh, this person's going to say that. We got to stop that. We got to start thinking about the people who are actually willing to listen, who are actually willing to give us a shot. And, the people who actually stop and look and read our stuff, that's who it really matters for. And for all the people here, like, I think one of the things that I heard that I love saying now is, your lack of dedication and effort to this is the highest form of disrespect to the people that believe in you. And I feel like this community is just chock full of people that are always supportive. Like, we always got a team of people like, you could do it, keep going, don't stop, I believe in you. And I love it, man. I love this community, and I love it for being able to interact with people such as yourself, Ann.
But I also love that while we are so like there for each other and giving each other support, we can still be honest with each other. Like I had conversation with people who didn't share the same interests or didn't share the same beliefs, and I can have conversations with them without it getting nasty, which can happen really easily, especially online where we're all hiding behind our screens. And I've luckily not experienced that here. Like I think I liked Gary before, but he earned extra points in my book. He Do you remember when he announced that he's gonna have the shorts with Moonbug
Yes. Okay.
that day? So as a parent and an educator, some of the Moonbug shows don't have the highest respect in communities that I'm in. And so Josh, Courage, and I had a discussion on Twitter about it. And we weren't nasty about it. We were just showing our concerns for as a parent and how something we love, like VeeFriends, could be put into a wrong light, that we don't want it to go there because we are so invested in it at this point. And Gary actually chimed in, and that's the day he followed me. And I love that because he didn't follow me because I do all the things for VeeFriends. He followed me because he saw that I don't just love this, I will also tell you things I don't love.
Yes.
Like that we can have disagreements, that we won't always agree on things. It's just how it is. We're human beings. We have different opinions, but that's allowed in this space. I feel like was another point for me that I really enjoy this community. It's not just like everybody loves Gary and VeeFriends is amazing. It's more than that. It's like we can have a conversation and we can disagree on something. And I think that is super important for me. I don't want to be seen as a fan. I'm not a fan of VeeFriends. I love the IP. I love the idea behind it. And I love the things Gary have to say, but I don't agree with everything, and that's okay. And I'm allowed to say those things out loud in a respectful way and still get respect for that. I don't get punished for it. I get respect for being honest and saying what I truly feel. And I think that earned a lot of respect for me for VeeFriends.
Yes, I agree with you. And I remember that conversation. I remember reading the thread, and I'm not going to lie. I kept reading because I was waiting. I know how things are online, but anytime that things like that happen in this community, I always try to pay close attention because it's moments just like that that start tearing apart a community. Because as soon as someone says something, instead of them taking it as like, okay, this person is just being is giving some constructive criticism, not to bash, not to downplay any efforts or nothing like that, but just as a fan to say, listen, I think it's a good idea, or I like this, but I also don't like this. And it's hard. It's hard to do that, especially online with anything. It doesn't matter whether you're in a community or not. And nowadays you say something, God forbid you say you hate Taylor Swift and the whole entire army of 12-year-olds come and attack you. Like it's that crazy. So it's like it takes a lot for you to have the courage to speak that openly, knowing that everyone is going to see it and anybody can respond to it. But at the same time, it's hard when you're saying and you're talking about it in that way about something you care about, because there will be people that don't follow you, that don't see anything that you actually do regarding your support behind the brand and the community. And they'll see that one thing of the bad thing that you said, and it automatically Ann is evil. Ann doesn't care about VeeFriends. She hates Gary V. She doesn't care about the community and blah, blah. I know what that's like. I've been in that situation before with other stuff. So when I saw the conversation you were having with Josh, I was waiting. I was like, someone is going to pop in here and someone's going to say something to really mess things up and turn it into something it's not supposed to be. But I loved how you and Josh interacted with each other. I loved how he responded to it. And I really loved how Gary got involved. I do remember that conversation. I remember reading the thread and I was surprised. I thought Gary was going to go another total way. And I was waiting for like this back and forth to happen. And it didn't. He took it, like you said, he took it constructively. and he followed you back. And that's a thing that I love about when it comes to things like this. When the right people get together, they actually take the time to listen to each other. Because Josh or Gary or anybody else could have took it some other way and just blocked you and said, oh, this person's just not a fan and they hated it. They're just trying to. And it wasn't like that. They actually took the time to look at it like, all right, this is coming from a person who's actually in the community, who's actually active, who's a fan, who buys the merch, who buys the products, who's a collector. So let's listen to this person and see what they have to say instead of just writing it off as another person who has something bad to say. So it's things like that that I love about it, because they take it, they listen, and they just analyze what's going on, and they actually take the consideration of what people think and feel towards all this stuff. And that's not something you can hear about a lot of brands. There's not a lot of I still don't know what the hell you would call Gary. The guru, content creator, businessman, entrepreneur, author, fucking artist, creator, whatever, or the combination. But not many people in a position such as himself would take the time, one, to even read what you're saying, let alone respond and follow you back. Like, I got to be honest, the first person I've ever seen that it was like, I'm following people back despite me having 30 million followers. Like, was Gary. Gary was the first person, and I'm like, yo, if this person can follow me back, there's no excuse why these other people can't take the time to just hit follow back or respond or like, or take into consideration that you're taking the time out of your day to even send them something. Like, yes, they're the busiest person in the world, but when you have someone that's that active or that claims they care that much, it's hard to really see if it's true. And Gary goes out his way to really do that. I feel like he always tries his best to interact with the community. He always tries his best to put out stuff, whether it's content or product wise, that's in the best interest for the community, for the brand, for the people that support, for the people who've been here since day one. Like, so that's why I'm a big fan of Gary. I'm with you as well when it comes to the merch. I got a lot of the stuff, but I really don't like to say I'm a collector. I say I have a collection of stuff, but in all honesty, since day one that I've gotten anything, and I hope people don't get mad, but literally I fight to get stuff, but everything I have, I've always had the intention. Always. I have hoodies, I have hats that he signed from VCon. I have graded cards, I have his shoes, I have a bunch of stuff. And my intention since day one has been, I'm going to give all this away. When I have enough of this stuff, I don't want to flip it. I don't want to sell it. I want to give this away. Why? Because the way that I got introduced to VeeFriends, or really got into it, like, I was always a fan of Gary before VeeFriends existed. I love this content. But I really saw him as a person that I didn't like. He came off as this guy that I always saw on YouTube, and I would always ignore his video. I'm like, why the hell does this guy keep coming up? Who the fuck is this old guy? Like, and then one day it was like 3 a.m, and I was depressed as shit. And his video came up of him being on an airplane and him just talking about like, yo, you're going to die one day. And all of us, like, that's the only thing that's guaranteed that and it really hit me. And that's when I really started listening to this guy. I was like, yo, this is more than just some dude who has money who wants to be online. And little by little, it just started trickling down to the point that I was like, not only is the stuff that he's saying changed the way that I think in a positive way, but he introduced me to all these other amazing people. I owe it to him and to everybody else who knows about it and doesn't know about it to know about this. You know what I mean? So I got introduced to it because he gifted me an NFT. That was my excuse to go make a wallet. Then he wanted I did the whole book games thing, and I got that. And then, I started getting sucked into it. But it got to the point that I realized my entry point into it to actually give it a shot was I got given something for free. It's hard to tell people join this community, go here, and then they automatically think that they got to buy something. So my idea was I want to give these people whatever it is that I have so they don't have an excuse. Get involved in the community. Oh, you have to have an NFT. All right, I'll give you one. Or oh, I like the cards, but I don't have the money I'll give you one. I like Gary Vee and I like his stuff, but I don't have none of the merch. I'll give you one. Like, it's not for profit, not for nothing. It's just, I feel like my way of getting into stuff, everyone likes to hear about stuff, but it's not until you get that free sample that you start getting hooked and you're like, you know what? It's not that bad. So I'm like, yo, if I can just give people a free sample of what VeeFriends is, just a little taste to get them to be like, yo, listen, here's a card. What is this card? It's VeeFriends. What the hell is VeeFriends? It's Gary Vee made. Who the hell is Gary Vee? There you go. I've already started you on your journey down the rabbit hole. Just take the next few steps, and I promise you won't regret it. And if not, what's the worst that can happen? You just got something for free. You got a free hat, a free card, a free sticker, or free shoes, whatever. but I want to make sure that at least triggers someone. And maybe they don't get into VeeFriends, but maybe that graded card gets them into graded cards. Maybe it gets them into maybe that one video they watch of Gary Vee, or they hear of VeeFriends, and the idea, it triggers them to make their own version of VeeFriends or make their own little community. Like, all I want to do is help plant that seed of a possibility for anybody, because I feel like that's what VeeFriends did to me, you know? And so I completely understand and can relate to what you're saying, as far as wanting to, like, you know, share that and introduce people to it and just give that back to the community. I think it's a big thing, you know?
And I think everybody does it in their own way. For you, it's like giving things away because that's how you got in. Like,
Yes.
and I learned about Gary through all of his content, so maybe that's why I'm making content. It's just, I think everybody does it in a way that feels comfortable for them and feels good to them. And I think that that's the important part too, that you don't feel like you have to do anything.
Yep, 100%.
Like, you don't have to give things away if you don't want to. You don't have to collect if you don't want to. It's a choice you can make.
Exactly.
It's the same with, like, because a lot of people in the chat are talking about NFTs and stuff. You don't have to own an NFT if you don't want to. That doesn't make you a VeeFriend. A VeeFriend is, for me, is a feeling. It's part of being the community and representing the feeling of it. You know, like being compassionate, being there for each other, holding each other accountable, doing kind things for others. And you can do that without any money in the world or any NFT in the world. Like, you don't need any of that. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I used to think that, I used to believe that because I didn't own a V1 or a V2 at the time, that I wasn't part of VeeFriends, that I couldn't afford none of the merch, or I wasn't able to buy in as soon as they dropped. Like, I'd get major FOMO, and then I'd feel like I couldn't really interact in the chat or in Discord and all that. Like, all those things got in my head. And the more and more that you get into it, people remind you, bro, you don't need none of that. You don't need none of it. And then it always comes down to the fact that even if you did really feel like it, the amount of giveaways and free stuff that everybody, whether it's the community or VeeFriends themselves or Gary themselves, they always try to do their part to spread the love, to spread the whatever it is in any way. And that's what I love about it. Whether it's you sitting there and needing help because you don't know something, you have people willing to give their time and teach you and help you and educate you and share stuff and hold your hand and go through. That's what I love about it. There's people in here, if you mention that you would like something or that you're trying to get your hands on, guarantee there's someone in the community or in the chat that's going to pop up like, yo, I can help you with that, or I can send you some, or I got, like, that's what I love about it. And they do it without any other thought behind it, other than the fact that they're capable of doing it. They would like to do it, and they're in a position that they're able to, so they do it. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't have to make content. You don't have to have it specifically about VeeFriends. You don't have to focus on that. You don't even have to focus on doing anything where you're helping anybody else in any way, of sharing any information or trying to make them feel better, but you do it because you want to. It makes you happy. You enjoy doing it. And that's what it's really all about. And that's what I love about it. Whether it's Gary saying it or the people in the community backing you up, everything is focused on you finding what you love and enjoy doing and just being happy. And that's something that I know I haven't been able to find anywhere else. Like, in this community, all of us gravitate to each other. We all understand, and we all have this weird way of making each other feel safe. And that's what I love about it. We feel safe in the things that we say to each other. We feel safe and comfortable in the things that we share with one another. Like, we tend to forget that there's millions of other people that can see our stuff online, but yet we just focus on the communities that we're a part of. Like, we're just oblivious to everybody else. And that's what I love about it. And I think that's just because of the comfortability we've been able to create with each other and interact with each other and everything. So I love everything that you're saying, and you're just, I'm falling more and more in love with the person that you are and how you're just willing to just be yourself. Like, I'm getting a better idea of who you are and where you're coming from, and now I have a better understanding as to why there's so many people who are just big fans of you. So I gotta say, I'm becoming a very huge fan of you myself now too.
Thank you. It's
So
weird to hear these things about yourself. I think it's a very uncomfortable thing for a lot of us to hear them. And I don't know why, because I feel like deep down we do know who we are. And when people tell us, like, yeah, you are that person, and confirm that, for some reason it's an uncomfortable feeling, because I feel like we were taught to be so humble and not like be, I don't even know what the word is, but it's okay to be liked. It's okay to be an inspiration for others. Like, it's weird to say it about yourself, but if you are, why is it bad to hear that about yourself? Like, I think we have such a issue with that. We will listen to people who tell us shitty things about ourselves and we believe it. But if there's somebody saying something nice about you, it's like so hard to accept. Like, we get shy and we turn red and like we feel like it's not true, and it's so stupid. It's absolutely stupid that we do that to ourselves.
Yes, I agree with you. It's like before we started this, I was seeing all the stuff that was like you saw. I mean, you and Savvy were mentioning and stuff in the chat and on X, and like I used to feel the same way. I used to overthink before I stream. Like, no one's gonna care what I'm saying or anything like that. But then every now and then, there's always that one person that pops in and stays and hangs out and shows interest. And at the end of the day, like I look at it like all of you have a story to tell. All of you have something that you know that I don't, or that someone else doesn't know. Like, you're all unique. All of you are unique in your own way. And that's why, like, I love it. I love having these conversations. Yes, I enjoy the streaming stuff and the interacting in the chat and the whole, it's not like a stress, but it's like a thing of like, you gotta edit this, you recorded today, so now you have to make sure you edit it and you upload the rest of the stuff before this time. Like, it's not a set in stone thing, but it's just good to have something pushing you to be productive, pushing you out of that comfort zone. Before, it used to be like an uncomfortability thing, but when you have that, and then you have the people in your chat or the people in the community like, yo, what happened? Like, you recorded, or when's the next podcast, or I like the video you did, when's the next one, or when, like, I love that. Like, the fact that you put up the freestyle video thing that you did for VeeFriends and Fanatics coming back, and then that triggered like all these other little like freestyle stuff that everybody else is doing now, they want to make with you. And it's just, I love it. I love seeing things like that. It just goes to show how much the community has been growing, because a few months ago or even last year, whatever, you didn't see much of that. And the more and more that time goes on, and the more that we interact with each other, the more that the community grows, the more you start seeing this like mesh and this crossover of people collaborating. Like, no matter where we live in the time difference or the different time zones, we're all managing to find a way to work with each other, whether it's to make a video, to do a live stream, to show up for each other and support. I love that. I love that, the fact that the boundaries as far as distance or different language or knowledge and education, whether they don't know how to stream or whatever, that doesn't exist. Everyone just finds a way to get through it and to make it happen and connect with each other. And like, I have family members that literally live like down the street from me, and they'll come up with an excuse like, nah, I can't come today, my leg and all this. Meanwhile, I got you all the way in God knows where, willing to come on a stream with me and just talk for a little bit. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or you're willing to connect with someone else and do a freestyle video, or you're willing to take the time and talk to someone and learn how to like, it's just, that's what I love. I love the fact that there's no excuses, there's no limitations, that none of us are willing to try and surpass and get through without helping each other. You know, I think that's a big thing. We're all pulling together our resources, our knowledge, our experience, and we're helping each other all move up that next level, you know, and keep moving forward. That's a big thing. Next, what I wanted to ask you, we've been streaming for like an hour and a half now. We'll get out of here in a few minutes. I know everyone here is definitely going to go and check out the To the Moon stream, right? So make sure you guys go and check out To the Moon. Go holler at Tom and Jay and Chels. I haven't seen Chels in a minute, so hopefully Chels shows up, or maybe I'm just late to the party and I haven't been seeing her. But before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you, with all the stuff that you have going on, all the different ideas you have running through your head, all the different projects that you've shared as far as the content that you've created for your Learn with Friends, to the songs that you've been making to help bring more awareness about Fanatics coming back with VeeFriends, and the trading cards and the road to VCon and all this stuff. Is there anything else that you're working on right now, or that you would like to try and work on in the future, that you want to give us a heads up about, or you want to let us know a little bit about?
I think right now I just let my brain run wild. Like, an idea comes up and I just do it. And I feel like I love that freedom of it, that I can just do whatever I want, kind of taking it. I definitely want to narrow down a little bit more what VeeLearn is and what I share on my Aeon account and what is VeeLearn and like how to mesh those things. I feel like that's what I'm kind of working on right now. And also, I would love to at some point bring people from the community into VeeLearn with Friends. Have people like Ryan talk about nutrition, or Josh talk about workout, or Profit talk about workout, and make content for kids and parents combined with VeeLearn with Friends. I think that's probably another step that I would like to take.
I like, and moving forward, what would you like to focus on first or more? Would you like to focus on the educating and making content for the children aspect or for the adult aspect? Like, what do you think, not as more important, but what do you think is your first step? Like, what do you think is what you should focus on first? Do you think that you should focus on the stuff for the kids or more for the adults, and why?
I think both has to happen at the same time, just for the fact that the adults will be the ones introducing the kids to it. So if I can pull them into it, that's when the kids will see it. And I hope that the kids will naturally more see of it once the shorts drop. I feel like once the shorts drop, I feel like there's going to be a big influx in people learning about and coming to VeeFriends. And I would like by then to have a decent amount of content out that if there's only a couple shorts out, but you want more, here's other stuff you can look at. You know, like here's where you can take it past just watching the show. Here is what can you do with the cards at home with the kids besides just collecting them or playing the game? What other things you can do? What can you do with the minis? And so that's kind of like my summer project of creating different things you can do with your kids in summer around the different projects. What are the different products you can buy to give you a little bit more ideas? It's not just a collectible that you have, but you can actually use these things to teach your kids something.
And being that being that you're trying to teach not only kids but parents as well, do you have any advice for parents who want to use either VeeFriends or any other things? Like you're mentioning, you're using VeeFriend characters and their traits in your VeeLearn with Friends. Is there anything else as far as advice that you would like to give other parents, not only just specifically using VeeFriends, but anything that you feel would help in the sense of teaching their children valuable lessons?
Grow yourself. I think once you understand and figure out who you are, what you're capable of, and also what you're not capable of, is when you become the best version of yourself. And learning what you're not capable of is not to like change yourself. It's when I learn certain things that I'm not capable of, now I can know, okay, my brain doesn't work a certain way. Like I have ADHD, and my brain just doesn't work like other brains. So instead of like coming down hard on myself for it, how do I get around it to still get to that point? And I think if you find out who you are and what works for you, that's when you unlock to be the best version of yourself and the best parent.
I love that, and I agree with you. I think we have to learn and adapt as well as the way that our kids do when they're learning, and move along with it and keep trying to move forward in a productive way, in a positive way. Um, Before we get out of here, the last thing I want to ask you, being that we're all in the VeeFriends community and everything like that, and you're focusing more on the educational aspect of stuff, how do you see VeeFriend characters evolving in the educational landscape for the future?
I
As
don't know.
not as of course, because you're like you mentioned, VeeFriends, it's its own thing, and you just showing your love and support. You're not an employee of them, you're not a representative of them, but as a parent, how do you see it moving in that direction as far as being educational with the characters?
I think it is already educational in that it teaches you in creative ways how to be that character, how to show more of that, if it's through the comics and just making it lighthearted to figure out, can I be compassionate? What does it actually look like on a daily basis? And education is also, are we talking education in general, what I want to teach my kid, or education school system? I do see VeeFriends at some point going into the education school system part too, just because I know Gary has such big stance on when it comes to school that he's not against it, but he also know there's so many limitations that I do see him wanting to tap into that to create things maybe around education for schools to make it better.
I agree with you. And before we get out of here, Ann, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time to come on, for being as open and as you have been, and sharing your background, your side of the story as far as who Ann is, how you got involved with VeeFriends, and what you're creating and working on, and for everything that you've been doing, whether the interacting in the chat, the little small battles you've been having with Soggy, which I'm really curious to see who has a bigger collection, or who has
Oh,
a
Soggy.
yeah. You think? I've been wondering. I feel like Soggy hides a lot of stuff, and he has like some things we don't know about, or maybe like sometimes he has like an account that he has under a different name to outbid people or something. Like, I don't know, but at the same time, I think the same about you. I feel like you got your own little secret stuff too. Like, you're never far behind from Soggy when it comes to all the cards and everything. So it keeps me entertained. I love watching you guys go back and forth. Like, it's really fun. But I want to see, he's still here. I thought he wasn't here no more.
Oh, he was listening. He's always listening.
I thought he left. But oh man, I love it. But I want to say thank you. Thank you for being a great example of what not only being a kind-hearted and loving person is, because I feel like that's the energy that you give off in the way that you present yourself, but also for being just open, vulnerable, and just honest with who you truly are, and the content that you make, and the things that you share with all of us. I'm pretty sure that everyone would agree that you're a very, very big part of this community, and I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity and the privilege not only to speak with you here today, but also be able to watch your growth through this whole process of you finding what it is that you truly want to do, and getting to where it is that you really want to be. I truly mean that. This community, as well as you and everybody in it, has just really given me hope, and I'm so grateful for it. And you're just amazing. So thank you, Ann.
I want to thank you for just, first of all, having me on and giving me a platform to kind of talk more about what VeeFriends means to me and why I'm part of it and what I'm trying to do here. But also just for doing the podcast in general. Like, I've watched quite a few of the episodes, and just it helped me get to know a lot of the community members just in more detail, and also different parts of them that are not VeeFriends, or just their personal life, and just giving them just like a safe space to just open up, be vulnerable, and just be human. It's not just human isn't just being fun and happy and then laughing all the time. It's talking about the hard stuff, that we don't like to share, that we don't like to talk about. But it, like you said earlier, it gives us an idea of like we're not alone. There's so many people who go through so many similar things than we do, and just seeing that is all you need sometimes. That other people do it too. You can do it too. There's other people you can reach out to. There's people who have done it before, or people who will go through, and then they can learn from your story. And so that also motivates you, that even if you've been through shit, learn from it, and that can help somebody else. And I think that's a big part. And I really enjoy watching your podcast, and just you're doing a really good job of asking the right question and making people feel really comfortable opening up about things. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I appreciate you giving me that feedback, because like we mentioned before, we all tend to not notice or give ourselves the credit for what we're doing, or just acknowledge how far we've come. So those are things that I've been struggling with, that I overthink about a lot. So I appreciate you taking the time to tell me that, and to check out what I've been doing so far, and always tune in and show love and support. That means a lot to me. And to everybody else in here, a long story short, thank you for being here. Soggy, Brofit, Tab Fro. Who else came up in here? Then we had Nacho, who was over here for a while. We had some people that were on YouTube, but for some reason it's not showing me right here. But for everybody else who tuned in, VDad's officials, thank you for showing up and spending some time with us. Elizabeth from YouTube, thank you. Everybody, please make sure that you go and give Anne a follow and check out what she's doing with VeeLearn with Friends. I'm gonna have all the information regarding her social media or any way to contact her online in the description, wherever you're watching this, wherever you're listening to this, whether it's on your favorite audio streaming platform or whether you're rewatching on Twitch or X or YouTube. Just make sure that you check out the information in the description. Go show Anne some love, give her a follow, check out her content, get involved, interact with her, show her some love. And yes, thank you all.
I want to give you one last advice.
Go ahead.
Show your face more.
I
You don't have to hide behind the clock. People love people. They want to see you. Show that you are the person who asks questions. Like, I wouldn't have come to just anybody's podcast that I didn't feel comfortable with. Show who you are. Show your face. You're worth it.
I love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you saying that. That's something that's always on my mind. So I appreciate you saying that, and thank you. I'm gonna try my best. I'm definitely gonna work on that.
Better be seeing that.
Yes, you definitely will. Trust me. You got me wanting to do some music stuff too. So I definitely want to see what we can do and collaborate on that when the time is right, man. I got a few ideas that I've been floating around since I seen your stuff. So I definitely want to try to knock that out also, man. And shut the fuck up and do it. Yes, I will, Soggy. I will. I love you guys. Thank you, Brofit. Thank you, Soggy. Thank you, Naksho. Thank you all. Thank you, Ed, so much. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for taking the time to come and be on and to share more about yourself. Everybody, please, like I mentioned, please go show Anne some love. Hit her with a follow. Go check her out on X. Go check her out on Instagram. Go follow and show love to her account for VeeLearn with Friends. And yeah, make sure that you guys go and check out the To the Moon stream that's going to be happening at 9 o'clock, I believe. Go tell Tom and Jay and Chels that I sent you. Tell them I said what up. I should be in the chat also if it's not too late. Now I handle my daily daddy duties before the end of the night, but I'll be showing up in there as well. And this has been another episode of Clocking Out. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys. Stay safe. Peace.